Hello guys, this is Modest Major here, and today's video I wanted to be a little bit more positive. It's really hard for me as a person to come away from a critique feeling good, in spite of it being somewhat of a necessary evil for the game's fundamental growth. With Halo, it kind of feels like beating up on a family member. I know there would be some Halo community members that almost support Halo like it's their favorite football team, and hearing the criticisms isn't the easiest thing for them to process. I don't necessarily see that as a massively detrimental flaw for someone to have. At the end of the day, the Halo community can be like home to a lot of people. People's investment in Infinite doing well goes beyond just wanting something fun to play with friends on the weekend. For some people, these games start to forge a lifestyle, a platform to create on and inspire, myself included. With Infinite, I think it's easy to see a lot of good in it. The Repulsor and Grapple have been immediate standouts from the get-go. To be honest, when I saw Grapple from a conceptual point of view early on, I did somewhat roll my eyes. Initially seen in online multiplayer such as Respawn's Titanfall 2 and Apex Legends, and even later introduced in Fortnite, I doubted that this was going to breathe fresh air into Halo's multiplayer. Fortunately, to my surprise, it's been a massive standout, particularly now seeing it in combination with the vehicle gameplay found on Behemoth. It almost starts to beg the question, how wasn't this implemented earlier? Halo thrives in its versatility, and the grapple feels like it's added this whole Z dimension to an already incredibly deep experience. Snagging power weapons from under enemies' noses, performing trick sniper shots out of high-reaching grapple spots, sliding out of grapples to build momentum, then rushing down a player at electrifying speeds. I couldn't be more pleased with its execution, and over half the clips we're seeing on the Halo subreddits right now are some form of theatrical grapple display. If one half of the subreddit is found on those grapples, then the other half of Reddit may just preside with the repulsor. Initially, my knee-jerk reaction to the repulsor was, well, it'll be great for deflecting incoming rocket fire, getting someone off you in a close-range engagement, but just how much utility will there come out of it long term? To be honest, I think in a lot of ways, imagination is probably your own limiter when it comes to this piece of equipment. There's repulsing yourself into the air, resembling a Quake rocket jump, pushing an enemy into an abyss, finishing off an enemy low on shields by blasting them up against a wall for that oh so satisfying pancake medal. You're never going to hear that impression ever again, so enjoy it whilst it lasts. Where equipment and armor abilities in the past have sometimes gone too far or not gone far enough to be memorable, these two equipment additions are so fantastic as they give the agency to the player rather than summoning you some sort of auto win. You could run around with a grapple and accomplish absolutely nothing. It's going to be your situational awareness that wins you the day with this equipment, and I think that's ultimately the most enjoyable way to dole out power. They enhance and reshape the way we think about other aspects of the Halo sandbox by combining with them in exciting ways. Halo vehicles aren't as we know them anymore. The grapple and repulsor equipment add another layer of flexibility that bolsters the level of interactivity we know in a Halo BTB sandbox. Another element of the game I'm really enjoying is some of the weapons having more multi-functionality. A prime example of this would be a weapon like the Cinder Shot, where if you are zooming in with the weapon, the bullet will continue to travel after being shot, following where your reticle moves. This is similar to a weapon like the Bullseye in Resistance Fall of Man, a very old game, but I am a very old boomer, so, just try and imagine it. Not only this, the Cinder Shot's explosive rounds bounce off of corners and surfaces, giving it another gleeful dimension of creativity when setting up for a destructive play. Whilst only present in the custom games at this point in time, they're going to make for good times once we get our hands on them, and perhaps in the BTB portion of the game next weekend we'll be able to play with them if we're lucky. I think a lot of Halo's longevity in the past sprung from its weapons toy box, and just how much you could learn from extended playtime with some of these. Learning how to effectively charge a Spartan laser with optimal timing to let loose on a tight window of opportunity was integral to its framework, for example. Another example would be with the energy sword, learning to react the second you saw the red reticule flash up for the perfect sword lunge, then spamming the right bumper in a sword clash to unleash swifter slashes felt very satisfying to master. I feel they have tried similarly with a weapon like the Heat Wave in Infinite, where changing between the vertical and horizontal modes of fire provide you either more spread or more precision whilst also allowing you to fire off of walls. Must be said that the hit detection of this weapon didn't feel too on point, and perhaps the weapon might benefit from seeing a buff, but I still think it stands out as a creative weapon in the sandbox. The shock rifle and disruptor give us a chance to wield electricity at our fingertips, bringing the power to disable enemy vehicles and chaining between enemy Spartans. Whilst plasma pistols have been able to disable vehicles in the past, I feel the shock weapons represent an attempt to bring another brand of killing power into the mix, and who doesn't like an electrifying display of combat? Credit where credit's due, Halo 5's Warzone weapon variants actually had a lot of innovative ideas, and I think it's good that they seem to be flexing some of their learnt creativity into the power weapon landscape on Halo Infinite, and I now have pretty high expectations from them on this aspect of the game. I'm also very confident that 343 is going to have some of the best vehicles in Halo history. I'd even go so far as to gamble they might be the finest, maybe outside of Halo Reach. The Warthog, Ghost, and Mongoose all feel like bliss to drive. The sound design is top notch with horsepower on the Warthog that just gets your blood pumping in a way that doesn't feel cheap. The Ghost feels like it splits apart opponents. It's hard to even say if it does the most damage of a Halo Ghost, but the game does enough to make you feel that way, with its immersive jet speed and crisp visuals. The vehicles also now have a newfound dynamic damage system, where you can see the paintwork chipping on the vehicles and the interior of the car really starts to show in a more realistic depiction as it takes damage. A map like Behemoth has now proven that 343 can nail the aesthetic, ambience, and feel of a Halo map. I have had my doubts, to be honest, with a lot of the maps I've seen in Infinite. I think like the Live Fire is probably the closest we've had to a standout, but it still hasn't given me that strong desire to return to the map time and time again. Behemoth gives me that hunger for a Halo map where I want to explore every little nook and cranny, look off into the sunset, marvel at the Forerunner architecture on the interiors, the symmetrical design paired with breathtaking visuals. This map really has a lot going for it, and it gives me a lot of hope for their BTB options in Infinite, as the vehicles combined with the landscapes offer up a true glimpse of some classic Halo warfare. My previous video was essentially detailing my laundry list of what I was worried about with Halo Infinite, and when a new game is on the horizon, I don't want the whole tone of my videos to be doom and gloom and overbearing negativity. I actually think there's so much to be curious and intrigued by in Halo Infinite. I think what's more frustrating about my previous videos' points is that I feel those potentially incredible aspects could be locked behind a door of glaring but highly fixable issues. I don't think Halo Infinite is a lost cause by any case, but I also don't want it to be another AAA gamble on, well, hopefully we can bring more players to this if we change a bunch of stuff later down the line. I'm really excited to try next weekend's beta out. I think the new BTB map Fragmentation in particular looks like the quintessential Halo BTB map, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. Let me know what you guys have loved in Halo Infinite so far. See you in the next video. Peace.